Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
where are we today?
I feel like we're in the same space because it's 41 degrees here, and that's basically the same as like -10 in Chicago. So
Yeah, it's almost like just translating, from one place to another. Is that's basically like the how do you say, like the tax, the Illinois tax, the Midwest tax, actually. So yeah, we are like connected by the weather. It's 24 here.
and all of us in California have been watching about the crazy snowstorm hitting your area of the country.
There hasn't been like too much snow. We actually had a day of 10 Celsius degrees. That is like what, 55, 50 a couple of days ago.
How awful. Well,
And we were like, oh my God, this is spring.
awful for me, great for you.
Yeah. But in any case, besides the weather, I had the feeling that we are like becoming like middle-aged British women, that they always bring the weather up. About like, what do we have to talk about?
I mean, to be fair, we used to share porn links, and now we share real estate links. So, yes, we are becoming middle-aged.
Don't worry, have like some really hot real estate links for you later.
I know,
Yeah.
You're gonna share it with me.
Oh yes. So in any case, what did we watch today that it was not porn leak involving?
So this was my pick, and I chose the Oscar-nominated The Worst Person in the World, directed by Joachim Trier. I picked this, before you asked, because it's Oscar-nominated, but also I really love Joachim Trier, or at least I love one of his films that I saw at Sundance maybe close to 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, called Reprise. I was super into it. I think I asked you to watch Reprise. I can't remember if you did or not. Tell me.
I did it. I watched Thelma.
That's what I asked you to watch. We watched Thelma.
Oh
Not
yes,
together.
we did. No.
And you weren't into it. I wasn't into it either. But I think this director has something. There's something to him, and I wanted you to admit it.
Okay, that's fair. So the only reason why you wanted to watch this movie, it was like just for trying to change my mind about the director, almost like out of spite.
No, that's not the only reason. That was part of the reason, but also this has like I think 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like this is based on film criticism, this is a good film.
Oh, okay, yeah. Ratings never lie. That's fine. Yeah, it's like Flea,
But film critics have a very important place in our society, and the film critics I respect said this is a film worth watching, and so I said, Jose, you need to watch this.
So what did they say about Flea?
About what?
About Flea?
Fuck you. We're not gonna discuss Flea. We're talking about The Worst Person in the World.
Because the funny thing is, like, this movie has a 97 in Rotten Tomatoes. Flea has a 98. Flea has a 91 on Metacritic. The Worst Person in the World has a 90. And this movie has a 7.9 on IMDb, and Flea has an 8. They're like so uncannily close, but Flea a bit higher. Everywhere.
But as you love to point out, the documentaries are a completely different breed to film. So let's ignore.
That's fair.
Let's talk about The Worst Person in the World.
That's fair. And as this was your pick, I guess that I should summarize it.
You should, and it's like 2.5 hours long, so I expect the synopsis to be
sure.
Very.
Okay, so this movie follows the life of Julie since she actually goes to college. She tries to figure it out what she wants to do with her life until she starts dating this comic creator. She starts a relationship with him, and the story is structured in 12 different chapters, and how through it, well, on the third or fourth episode, she doesn't cheat with a random guy on a wedding, and then she breaks up with the comic writer, and then she starts a relationship with the other guy. She doesn't want to be a mother, but spoiler alert, then she's about to become a mother, she gets pregnant, then she breaks up with the other guy, and that's pretty much it. That's the end.
So I'll say that I think it's important to recognize that her first boyfriend, and I don't remember any of the names from this film,
Axel or Axel.
But he was having like some sort of big party to celebrate, I don't know, the anniversary of his comic book or something. She was like, I want to go home. And she crashes this wedding party where she knows no one.
Yep.
And I mention that because it's important, in my opinion, to understand that Julie was desperate for anything that wasn't her life.
I think I want to hold back into just saying if I like it or not, but I think that the whole movie revolves around like what kind of character Julie is and how she's going to be like figuring out what she really wants in life.
Excellent statement, but do you think it has to do with her character or what
Yes.
she actually wants?
Yes, I mean, I think that both things are interconnected. It's like the leitmotif of Julie is that she doesn't know what she wants, and she's going to be like just changing from one day to the next, without any kind of logic or just thinking about like the long-term consequences of her directions. She starts like just studying medicine, and she immediately moves into psychology because that's what she really loves, and immediately she moves into photography, and then she actually just drops from everything and starts working for a bookshop and starts like just dating this guy that is as ugly as a fart, the guy with the gold teeth. And then she drops the guy for this other guy. She basically just goes from one thing to another in life. And when she actually feels that she's just stagnating because there is nothing new, is when she actually feels like, I need something. I need a revulsive in my life. So I'm going to be like crashing this party and let's see what happens.
But don't you think there's something there to, I don't know, when we're in our 20s, and I don't think she's in her 20s, but like we
She is.
She's
on her late 20s.
Okay, so in your 20s, did you not go after something that you found appealing, not knowing that there is something else even more appealing? And
Dude.
I think that's like a super like human experience. Is that? Go ahead.
This movie is a coming of age.
Yes, it is.
It's a coming of age adapted to this generation, to Gen Z or whatever, or millennials. I don't know exactly what is the threshold here,
Yeah, I would guess she's a millennial, but yes, it's about coming of age in a time where millennials come of age in their 30s.
Yeah, that's right. Because like coming of age for my generation, that is not your generation, it would be like way earlier. We're not. Good try, but no, you're not. You're a millennial. You are a millennial. Sorry, dude. So basically, they're just trying to go through life and figure it out exactly what you want, and just checking, like just making your mistakes and just learning from them.
I don't disagree at all. Okay. Keep going. Tell me your opinion.
So, as I actually told my boyfriend after the movie ended, this is not the movie that the trailer promised me. At all. Is that the movie actually sold me in a different movie. It sold me into some kind of romantic comedy or romantic dark comedy, and it's like, this is a trauma. The love is part of the story, but it's a bit more about like a character trying to figure herself out. It's like a character study of Julie.
So, for one, I don't think it's ever fair to compare a movie to its trailer, because trailers are basically marketing. So yes, you didn't get the movie the trailer promised, but the movie has to stand on its own.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's like at the beginning, I was just expecting it to turn into some kind of big comedy, and it's like, okay, there are a couple of chuckles, but there is never like anything too big. It's a bit more like, hey, you are in this for this ride about like just getting to know Julie. The other thing that I told my boyfriend after we were done is like, I haven't decided if I like this movie or I like this movie a lot. Yeah,
that's good for me.
That's good. It was a bit more like, this is from the same guy that did Thelma. Is like the only thing that I could actually just connect these two movies from is like the scene when she actually gets high with the mushrooms, and that is like, this is unnecessarily aesthetically pleasing. Is that this an aesthetic exercise at this point that it doesn't have to do anything else with the movie except that it's like is a late 20s, early 30s woman that still doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And she gets angry about that.
But tell me, is there... So for me, I was super fucking lost in my 20s, 100%. And I think excuse me, I met you when I was 28, 29, so I was leaving that. But I felt like everything in the story was so fucking relatable. Because in your 20s, you find something and you're like, yes, this is appealing. And then you find something else that's more appealing and you want to go on to that. Like, I just felt like the script was so relatable. And also, if we look at the title of The Worst Person in the World, you can feel like that. Like, you feel like the worst person in the world when you want to move on to the next thing that you feel is more relatable. Did you feel anything about that? And you're super old, like way older than me. So
I mean, that's the reason why I'm wiser than you.
I don't know how you felt in your 20s, but for me, I was like, fuck, this is what I experienced in my 20s and my early 30s.
For me, it was not really like that. You know, I think that for me, and it's a bit more like the story from the other guy, the older guy, that is a bit more like, hey, look, I already have my life. He said, this is what I do, this is what I don't do. He has an idea about like how things are. And Julie actually just throws everything upside down. About like, I don't care. You want to break up with me? It's like, now is when I really want to date you. It's, I want to just challenge what this other person wants. So the part that I really like felt related to is that the way that sometimes we took decisions in a non-strong kind of way, that we just take them by default about like, I can always come back, or I don't think about like the real consequences of this. Even when Axel tells Julie when they are breaking up about like, you are destroying everything. Have you thought about this? He's like, yes, I have. You're going to regret it. It's like, I know I'm going to, but it's like, if you are really going to be like regretting it, and she actually partially regrets it later, is it, what did you do it? Is it because you just randomly step into a guy later? And that was like the part that at the end it actually just like resonated more with me. It's like she took like a lot of decisions that she could have changed at any point, you know. But actually there were like two decisions that she didn't take that actually the world took for her. One of them was Axel dying of cancer, and the other one is having a miscarriage.
I think the fact that he died of cancer, he was dying of cancer, it really, really, I hate this fucking phrase, but it holds a mirror up to Julie.
Yeah.
And say, hey, what the decisions you're making, are they valid? Are they what you want?
Yeah.
Are they not what you want?
Yeah.
And I think she comes to understand, in my opinion, not like explicit in the film, but she's like, I made it wrong.
Well, I mean, I think that she actually just comes to understand that is like, hey, I have made like some kind of the wrong decisions, but I would just deal with it. Is when she actually grows up after breaking up with the other guy, is that she grows up into, this is it, is that this is what life is about. Is that sometimes you're going to be like making the right decisions, sometimes the wrong decisions, but you don't know about like the consequences and how much it's going to hurt like making the wrong decisions, you know. And just thinking that is like life is not infinite. It's like sometimes the decisions that you take, you cannot revisit them in the future, because when they break up, that ironic narration when she actually says is like, but maybe it's bad timing, maybe in the future we'll come together, and the narration is like, and she meant it, I meant it. Is it true? But is that you don't know what your reality is going to be later. Maybe it's that you're going to be realizing you have made a mistake. And about like the miscarriage, it's the same thing. Is that when she started to just come to terms that maybe I should carry this on, and she has a miscarriage, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you want. This is nature. Now deal with it.
I feel like just because of like my personal experiences in my own life, lately, it really resonated with me that like, it doesn't matter if she makes the right or wrong decision. That's completely inconsequential. She made a decision and she has to live with that. There are consequences, of course, but...
True, but I think that the closing, the epilogue, when in a very manipulative way, she actually runs again into the other guy. What was the name? Avin. You know, she runs into him that now he has a baby and he never wanted to have a baby. And she actually just carries on about like, sure, whatever. You know, it's a bit more like, this is life. She actually got a feeling about like, it doesn't matter. You just have to actually just learn to deal with these situations. You cannot change that.
That guy who never wanted a baby, he didn't want a baby until he met someone where a baby made sense. And that's what I find interesting about this, is that like we don't know what we want in our 20s, in our early 30s, maybe even in our 40s. But
I don't think, look, I think that is a bit more like a universal topic, you know. It's like a someone that actually, you know, like broke up with someone and then that person passed away. Is that for me, it was a bit more about like, we had a very similar conversation about like, maybe this was not the right timing. That was like what was more impactful for me about like just losing that person. That is like, there is no such a thing. It's like, you don't know when your decisions may be ultimate, when you cannot change them, when they are final completely. And it's like what she didn't know about. And she actually realized like, hey, that decision that I did with Axel, it was final. That decision that I actually made about my pregnancy, it was final, but I had to deal with other consequences and the decision that with Avin about like, well, let's just see about like how it goes, is that it was also a final one. He moved on with his life, but she actually grew up as a human being about like, I have to learn from this, is that everything that I do is final. And that's something that it doesn't matter you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s. Sometimes we just think that we're going to be able to revisit things and we do like a soft decision. And I said, that's not the reality. The reality is that everything that we do is like, it can actually just be definitive tomorrow.
I completely agree with you, and I find basically everything you said incredibly brutal, like super brutal. Because as I was saying, like, as a young adult, you make decisions that may or may not be wrong or right, but you have to deal with the decisions. Like, you have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
And so you've had a few past partners. I have not. I've had one relationship. I'm a baby. But don't you see, as represented in the film, that your life with each partner could be radically different, and there would be pros and cons of every path that you could have taken?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what I think that is the magic of this movie, is that there is no wrong decision that Julie does. Is that I was expecting her to be like an inherently broken character, given the trailer once again. She's not. She's not the worst thing in the world. She was like just a bit bored on a relationship, and she decided to move on. Is that the only thing is that she decided to move on because she met someone that it was not a good fit. But she was on the mentality on their 20s, 30s about like, I just move from one thing to the other instead of why don't I stop and I just invest on myself.
And I love that you just used the phrase the magic of this movie, because for me this movie was magic, and it so efficiently captured the listlessness of our 20s and early 30s, and like, we're just trying to make ourselves happy, and sometimes we make the wrong decisions, sometimes we make the right decisions, but that's what the script so thoroughly explored that for me this film was magic. And it ran over 2 hours, and I was like, I would spend every minute in this universe exploring the wrong decisions and the right decisions and the consequences, and like, I'm just happy to spend time with these characters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I fully agree. My only problem is like, I was expecting something different at the beginning, and the first 2 chapters they were like, where is the comedy? Where is the rom-com starting here? You know, and this is not a rom-com. It's not like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. It's that this is a drama. And that's it. Is that maybe it has like Norwegian sense of humor, but it's not real humor. Let's be honest.
No, it is fucking dark, but it's not like you leave the theater like depressed. But this is like a serious, like, hey, this is life, deal with it. And also, I do want to add that the guy that dies of cancer, he is one of the stars of Reprise, which is Joachim Trier's Sundance film that I saw, which was basically like a Norwegian French new wave film about two best friends that want to become writers. They both apply to be published. One doesn't get accepted, and he goes into like a mental health tailspin, and it's super fucking dark. Which is what I love about this director, is that he dives into the dark aspects of what it means just to be human, because there's nothing dramatic here. It's just her trying to...
I mean, I think that this one is not really like just dark. I think that it's a bit more like just trying to be like, not really, it's deep, but at the same time it's light. It's a bit of a... I mean, nothing really bad happens to her. And when you actually think about it, is that you don't have like any way of surviving in your life. You even have the balls of throwing at someone's face, hey, you work at a coffee shop when you work at a bookshop. But there is nothing like inherently broken in these characters. There is no like any kind of reality. It's like, hey, you may actually, it's not like Wrecking for a Dream. There is a, hey, you're going to be like get addicted to drug and lose your legs. There is nothing like just trying to create that kind of thing, but it's a bit more about like, this is life. It's like we are never going to be like the image that we have of ourselves, and we're going to be screwing up, and that's fine. I mean, I think that is like what at the end being human means, is like screwing up and learning to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, I hesitated using the word dark because it's not dark. It's just an authentic exploration about the results of our decisions. And every decision she makes is so relatable that I was like, this is what it meant to me personally, to be in my 20s and to be lost and to not know what I want and to be trying to find the best thing for me. Like, I just found the film so relatable that I found it incredibly beautiful. Not that it's a feel-good rom-com. It's just like, yeah, this is life. This is what it is to be alive and kind of lost in your 20s.
And sometimes like doing the right thing, sometimes doing the wrong thing, and then when you actually look in retrospective, like 5-10 years later, is that you regret like some of your decisions. But it's like in hindsight, everything is easy to regret in hindsight. So
yeah, hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah.
There are things that I know now as a 37-year-old. I'm like, of course I wouldn't fucking do that, but I didn't know any better at the time, and that's what I feel like this film absolutely encapsulates. It's what it is to be a young adult.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. I mean, it's about like just growing up, about like just coming to terms with like your life is not going to be like perfect. Maybe it's because of love, maybe because of family, because of something else, but you just deal with it and move on, and just keep trying to do your best.
In films like this, I'm always reminded of Fight Club, and I can't remember if this is in the movie or the book, but Brad Pitt's character, for lack of a better descriptor, he's preaching to his cult about how his generation was lied to, that they were told they were going to be rock stars or like supermodels, and when that didn't come to pass, people were super angsty. The men were super angsty, and I feel like that's kind of the condition of Julie, is that she felt like she was destined to be an incredible psychologist or a photographer, and that didn't come to pass, and so she had to find what existed in life for her, and it was difficult, and we went along with her on that journey.
But don't you think that everything in this life is difficult?
Absolutely.
Everything that deserves, like that is going to be like just rewarding is going to be difficult. I think that we can agree. It's like we're at an age that is like we already know that that's the reality. It's like works that we feel rewarded by, they're going to be like challenging. The relationships that they're going to be like really rewarding, they can be challenging. It's that you can just believe Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks that is like, no, it's only like, a comedy of misunderstanding and then love is perfect. It's like, no, there are going to be like problems. There are like some relationships there that barely have any problems, good for them. They're a minority. It's that everything requires effort. And Julie was a character that when she was like dealing with some kind of this doesn't feel right. She would just try to jump to something else without analyzing. It's like, what do I really want?
But didn't we, again, I hate this phrase, but didn't we go along on that journey with Julie?
Oh, yeah.
She thought she would just flip a switch and be a photographer. And she's like, oh, I have to put effort into something. She doesn't put effort into anything.
Yep.
And so she's lost.
Yeah, because basically her work is just being there. Let's be honest. It's like just being at the bookshop, it's just being there.
And she's kind of coasting on her good looks. She has a decent personality, but that doesn't get her any of the things that she wants, which is, I think, a relationship, fulfilling passion, not a career, but she's looking for something that she never found. Well, you could argue that she found it at the end, but she doesn't find it throughout the majority of the film.
Yeah, but I think that at the end it's a bit more about like just coming to terms about like, I do truly like photography, but I have to put effort, and it's not going to be like just turning me into some kind of, I don't know, like Vogue photographer, like from one day to the next. It's like, this is a career, and all careers, they're not going to be like taking off immediately, and that doesn't mean that you have to jump into something else. The same thing with relationship, and that's the reason why I agree with what Axel is saying about like, are you unhappy? And it's like, no. But is it, look, the only thing is that you are like just letting yourself guide about like a random spark that you have with a guy that is not a better fit than me because it's something new. And you're like just realizing about like we know each other for more than 3 months, so we are not new to each other. And she just runs away for something else.
Do you think, and I'm not trying to get a specific answer out of you, that in the gay world, we kind of see Julie's experience, but like magnified?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's always this like, no one is satisfied with a relationship. They always want to go on to the next thing. Gay men want to fall in love over and over and over again. And in my opinion, that leads to them making poor decisions, which ends up making them alone.
What was the, yeah, I think that we actually talk about like that summary about like in the gay world, people sacrifice perfectly fine romantic relationships just for having a hot hookup.
Yeah, completely. And I just read this horrific study that like it's something like 95% of gay men over 55 or 60 are alone because of the same thing. So to watch Julie play out this thing where you can see it's detrimental to what she wants, whether or not she knows she wants it, like it's harmful to her. But we all make these decisions. Like it's so relatable.
Oh yeah. I'm not blaming her, and I don't think that this is like different from what any straight men or straight women could do. You know, I just think I don't feel identified with the part. You know, I only feel identified with the part about like just making decisions that then later you realize about like how definitive they were, and you cannot change them, and that's like a bit devastating, and you have to learn to live with them. You know, not knowing what you want and just looking for quick satisfaction. You know, I think there is a universal topic. It doesn't matter if you're straight or gay or anything. I try to be a bit more careful with about like just, as I was telling you before we started recording, is like for me is like, hey, I don't like to take like ultimate decisions like right away because I know what it may happen.
And that's what I loved about the script is it's so relatable. Like we understand Julie's motivations when she makes decisions. We can judge them and say this wasn't the right thing or this was the right thing or she should try and find a way to live her best life. But it's like this script, it could be anybody.
Well, maybe no Salvatore. Maybe no Salvatore. No, he's in clear disagreement there, dude. Is that he's a very grounded, you know, mature human being that he doesn't take like random decisions. No,
he knows that pizza's coming, so
the pizza.
The pizza's coming. He knows he's gonna have some.
Okay, I will ask you about all of these later because I thought that you guys were not giving him human food.
We do not, but he still gets excited when it comes into the room because he can smell it.
Okay. But yeah, overall, I was surprised. I didn't expect this from the director of Thelma. Is that this, when I saw like the magic realism scenes, you know, when time freezes and when she's completely high, is that yeah, this can be from the same director as Thelma. But the topics on Thelma were so sorry for using this word, dumb, that I feel is that this is deeper. This, even if I don't feel 100% related to this character, is just properly written that I can understand that a generation or some people feel related to them.
I agree, and I regret that I asked you to watch Thelma. I didn't know what sort of film Thelma was. Ultimately, I found it disappointing. You found it disappointing. I think that I respect very much Joachim Trier and his ability to direct. How would you say it? Like accurate relationships in the real world, and I think he got kind of seduced by the supernatural element of Thelma, which he failed at. So he went from, I've only seen Reprise and Thelma. He kind of jumped the shark when it went to Thelma, but it seems now like he went back to his bread and butter, which is like genuine, like young adult relationships. And I actually just Googled his age. He's 47
45.
right now.
47, yeah.
So he would have been like 45-ish when he directed this.
So the same age as Saxe when he dies of cancer.
Oh fuck, maybe he's like dealing with his own mortality. That's
Yeah.
an entire
Another layer.
aspect I would think about. I prefer to think about him focusing on like 20-year-olds and the
Sure.
decisions.
Sure, you want to feel related. You want to just think that he's talking to you directly.
Exactly. And even though I'm 37, I feel like I'm 27. So
Yeah. So you actually watched Drive My Car. I didn't watch it, and it's not on the cinemas anymore. But I find it hilarious that still, when I went to see this movie yesterday, they were still having the trailer for Drive My Car. Which one did you like? Which one did you like more, Drive My Car or this?
1000% this movie. I don't understand the fuss about Drive My Car. I don't. It's a fine film. It's not bad at all. I don't understand why people are freaking out about it. I would happily rewatch this film tomorrow. I would not happily rewatch Drive My Car.
I like that idea. So should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. So you already answered the first one, but I assume that you will watch this again.
I would tomorrow.
Yeah.
And not because I think it's like an incredibly like fascinating film, but I think there's more to take from this film than I got from the first time. Especially after this conversation, I would like to analyze the characters, the relationships a little bit more.
Yeah. I would definitely watch it again. I don't know if tomorrow, but in a couple of months, I think that I will watch it again. You know, I rather just like settle down, like let the dust settle, and then just go for it again. Could you remember it?
This is a hard question because my answer is no. Not because it's not a good film, but it's just not like, there's nothing that makes it stand out, I guess. I loved this film. I'm giving away the answers, but it's not particularly memorable.
I fully agree. I was thinking about it, and I even say that as I told you, I was telling my boyfriend about, like, I don't know if I like it, but I like it a lot. But I know that I'm not going to be remembering this movie in 3 months.
And I watched it about a week and a half ago. You watched it yesterday, and I had to like look up the synopsis to be sure that I remembered all the kind of the details about the plot. So no, this is not something that's going to stand out to me in terms of my memory.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a pity. That's a bit of a strange kind of situation. That is like, it's clear that we both liked it, or like quite a bit, but at the same time, it's like it's not memorable. It's like it doesn't feel like it's doing some kind of universal message that it can just be like extrapolated to a point that everyone would resonate with it. It's just a good story.
I disagree. I think there is a universal message that will stand the test of time. I just think the details of the plot are not that... Fuck. I liked this film, but I was going to say not that interesting. But let me ask you this. How many details do you remember about the Seventh Seal?
I only remember what is important to be remembered. That is that the guy plays chess with the death. And that only happened in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then is when I stopped watching it. So I know everything that I need to watch, that I need to know about the movie. So, but what I mean is, like, it's a movie that it doesn't try to be important or elevated. It's just trying to be like a slice of life.
Yes, I agree completely.
And that's not necessarily wrong, but it's like by our brains that is actually a bit more like impactful. I would remember the Taring Horns ending for the rest of my life.
That's a good point, and that's why we have these different questions, right? Because they show different aspects of the film.
Yeah.
In 6 months, if you say what was the plot of this, I'm not going to remember, but I'll remember that I loved it and it was a good film.
Yeah. But you will always remember what was the ending of the Turing Horse.
I will never forget that. That is the longest foreplay and orgasm that I've ever had.
It's so much like just for playing with how did you say I'm going to say like something like pretty terrible and trying to Corona de Espinas, like a thorn crown. It's almost like just playing with your dick with a thorn crown for 3 hours, and then it's like
to feel alive.
Exactly. It's like, and then it's like you stop. That's the orgasm. It's like you stop playing with that. It's like, here you go. That's it. You are free to go with the crown of thorns. So for me, it's exactly the same. It's like it's just weird that it's not like that memorable, but it's not bad because of that. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I recommended it to you immediately. I would recommend this to anyone, even your parents. This is a good film. It's good.
I like the idea of you recommending my parents a film when you don't speak a single word of Spanish.
That's because you haven't let me meet them. As soon as I meet them,
you're going to speak Spanish.
And I'll say, you need to watch The Worst Person in the World.
But you don't speak Spanish. You still don't speak Spanish. I don't know how this works. Okay. Yeah, I would recommend this to everyone. It's like a pretty safe movie. There is nothing wrong. There is a couple of... Well, I will go to that. I would recommend it to everyone. I will get to that in another question.
We're generally dismissive of Oscar nominations. But I did pick this film because it was Oscar nominated, and I think the Academy did very well in this. Like, this deserves to be recognized.
What was the Thomas Vinterberg movie last year? The Last Drink?
Oh, the one about the guys that like choose to be drunk all the time? Yeah.
We also watched it because it was nominated, and that's a really good movie too.
That was a good movie. Yes, I would say like the foreign language film, it's a pretty good category usually.
Yeah, I mean the only weird thing is that clearly their favorite is Drive My Car because it was nominated to Best Movie.
Yeah.
And it's like they should stop. A part of me is that you shouldn't be nominated like Best Movie. Best Movie, actually, there should be a surprise. They shouldn't say who is nominated to those.
Often the Academy confuses like good film with boring films, and that's what I would like describe Drive My Car as.
Parasite 2 years ago, it actually won Best Movie.
It did, but that's the exception, not the rule.
True, but it was also nominated to Best Foreign Film. Is that for me, that was like the best movie of the year. Pain and Glory, it was a Best Foreign Film.
Pain and Glory was such a good film. Was the White Ribbon one, right? Best Foreign Language?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You don't like it as much as I do. I feel like mind blown when I
love that film, but compared to the rest of Michael Haneke's films, that's not the one I would like choose to like recommend or celebrate.
I think that it's a bit more artsy than other of his films, but I think that the language and the kind of message is, we have seen it other times, like the children's of the cornfields and all the stuff like that. That is like, oh, what about it? The kills are able. But this one is like
the White Ribbon to our to be watch list because I haven't seen it in years. You love it. I want to rediscover what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember that when things started like just falling in place, I just felt like this is mind blowing. This is like such a moral, ambiguous question to us, to the audience, that is like, I don't think that cinema could do this. Make me feel like so uncomfortable.
Volume 2, right?
No, I don't think that no. Like the two, no. Let's just leave it at that. You know what I'm going to say. Let's just leave it there. Like, it's not Charlotte Hesburgh, it's Charlotte Rampling.
No, it's Charlotte Gainsbourg. Charlotte Rampling is like 100 years old.
No, I started to just like mixing them up in the other direction.
Yes,
okay.
You are.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Is there anything artistic about it?
So, I thought about this question for like the last 3 days. The answer is no, in terms of like something that you would immediately recognize, wow, this is super strong. I would argue the direction on this film is impeccable. The way he makes us sit with the characters or not sit with the characters, or like you mentioned, the scenes where she's running in the street, everyone is frozen. There's an artfulness to this film that is super understated, that I can't point out a specific thing, but my answer is yes. This is an artful film.
Oh, you think that is yes? I thought that you were saying no at the beginning. Okay.
It's no, because there's not something like, oh my gosh, this was super beautiful. It's just the direction. The direction is incredible.
I hesitated a lot on this one too. I went like back and forth. I felt like the hallucination scene, I felt like it was like pretty out of place from the rest of the movie to actually just being like considered artistic per se. I thought that Thelma was significantly more artistic than this. And I'm not saying...
I would say it's stylistically stronger. I don't think that the direction is stronger.
Oh, no. The direction is stronger here. But there is nothing that I would say this is art. Once again, is that this feels like a slice of life. This feels a bit more of a mundane story. The only thing that they use is like magic realism that I was thinking when they were like using that scene. And my boyfriend asked me when we were talking, is that, would you consider this magic realism? Like, I was thinking to just tell you is that this is like a Gabriel Garcia Marquez scene. Isn't this like so out of place with the rest of the movie? There are like a couple of the scenes that they are like so random with everything else that is like, it just breaks the mundanity of the story. It's a bit like those magic moments that we have in our lives. But okay, I'm going to go with this because exactly that, because of how like the impact about like how you break the mundanity, you know, about like how it tries to reflect like the magic of some moments in your life.
I do want to call out here that we're very critical about directors who write their own scripts. Joachim Trier wrote the script, and I think he's kind of a little bit of a unicorn, like Michael Haneke, where he can direct the shit that he writes, which is very difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, but there is a degree here, you know. It's like, it's not that this has the complexity of a Charles Kaufman script. And Thelma was mediocre because of the script was mediocre.
I can't even say anything about that. Yes, Thelma was a piece of shit. Reprise was good.
Okay, I didn't want to say it was a piece of shit, but it was pretty mediocre.
No, it was bad. Even I was embarrassed that I asked you to watch it. I was fuck.
I just think that this is an easy to direct story. It's well written, you know, but there is no real big challenge on it.
I can see that. I just feel like the way he asked us to sit with the characters, the decisions they make when the guy was dying of cancer, I was really impressed with the direction in that aspect. But I completely see your opinion.
What about if we actually compare Joachim Trier with Mike Leigh?
Well, then Joachim Trier looks like a freshman in high school making a student film, because Mike Leigh is fucking incredible. Like, he's on a different level, in my opinion.
But I think that both of them, they also try to capture like some kind of a slice of life. You know, it's like something that I love about like Happy Go Lucky or Naked. That is a bit more, it's like, okay, something happens, you know, like something happens on their life, or there's character, that's it. And then you move.
I would say that with The Worst Person in the World, Joachim Trier gets to the same space that I see Mike Leigh in, but there's like a masterfulness to Mike Leigh. Like, you can't ever deny how talented he is as a director. Even as we've spoken, like, it's so subtle how good the direction is that you can't even point anything out.
But that's the part that I a bit more like on the artsy aspect, you know, about like if this is art, is that he tries like really hard on the scenes about like just the getting high or the everything gets frozen. It felt like super intentional. That's the only part that's like, okay, I will give you that there is something artistic about it, but it's not something memorable about it, because it's not like the subtle kind of Mike Leigh that is like, I couldn't pull my eyes away from this, because everything actually just like falls amazingly in place.
So I will say that Joachim Trier has wildly embraced, in my opinion, the French New Wave style of the 1960s, 70s.
And what's this?
In terms of the ironic narration, the love triangle, that's very specifically the French New Wave style. Mike Leigh has never embraced like a trendy style.
Okay, but I mean, I also think that the topics that, except Thelma, according to what you told me, is like he likes to be more grounded in reality. With New Wave, used to be a bit more out there, like just throwing like random stuff, like Alphaville.
So when you bring up Thelma, it kind of distracts because this is only the third film of his I've seen reprised, Thelma and The Worst Person in the World. He definitely excels when he's more grounded in reality, but you can't deny that this is a super stylized film in terms of, again, the narration, the love triangle. It's very French New Wave.
But the thing is, like, the narration is not present all the time.
Yeah, it's like, what, 5% of the film?
Yeah, and also like the love triangle is not critical to the story. It's like it actually feels like it's going to be like critical on the trailer, but it's a bit more about like she does her life, she gets bored with her life, she actually meets a random guy, she actually breaks out with this guy thinking that everything is going to be like magical with this other guy, and then she realizes that it's not.
But that's why I think he's kind of elevated. Like he likes that style, but he doesn't make it the foundation of his film. He adds elements to it. So it's grounded in its style, yes, but it's not restrictive of the limitations of that style. Mike Leigh has never done that. He's so natural in his direction. It's so 100% grounded in reality. It's hard to compare. It's like apples to oranges, right?
Sure, but at the same time, is like both of them, they're like just trying to make a story about like a character that could exist in real life, as we actually discussed, that we can relate to her, you know. With Happy Go Lucky or with Naked, is that she actually takes a character that could exist in real life, but they actually just push her to a bit more of a corner, a bit more about like this, a bit more of an extreme character in a real world.
Do you feel like the script for The Worst Person in the World pushes that character to change or to, I don't know, emerge more than a Mike Leigh script?
Oh, more. I mean, the thing with the two movies that I watched from Mike Leigh, and now I really want to watch more movies by Mike Leigh, is that the two movies that we watched, they were about the non-changing of the characters. It's a bit more like things happen today and they remain the same. They remain like just being like very optimistic, or they remain being a fucking asshole. It's a bit more about like they refrain from changing regardless of what the world throws their way, for better or worse. In this case, it's the opposite. It's about like growth. It's about change.
It's interesting when you bring that up, because I feel like The Worst Person in the World is more about just, hey, there's this universe that exists, there's this girl, she's making decisions. Whereas Happy Go Lucky, Naked, it's about, hey, there's this not larger than life, there's this person who influences what's around her. And I don't think that's the point of The Worst Person in the World. But it's an interesting comparison.
I mean, the thing that is that we rarely watch stuff that is so face value, that is so much like a character study. And I also like that the Axel has a poster about like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That is also a character study of that family. That is true that there is like a higher commentary about like that specific, you know, like type of people at that time. But I found it, okay, you actually studied your, you know, your influences here.
Yeah, there were a lot of like very nice film references, and I completely forgot they had that poster. And it's interesting because Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is like brutal as fuck, but everything that happens in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf happens in The Worst Person in the World, just way more realistic in terms of like Gen Z, millennials, how they handle things.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Let's go over the remaining questions. Is this a timeless piece?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we already went over over it. Would you turn this into a TV show?
To be honest, this is one of the very few times where I would 100% answer yes. There's a lot here. The script is brilliant. I would watch 6 hours of this.
Yeah, for me, no. I think that this was already like a tad too long. You know, there's some of the chapters, like the first one, when they go visit the friends, is like I felt like this is a bit long. Is that you're only establishing that she doesn't really want to have kids right now, and it took like 15 minutes of the movie. And then the other episodes that is like just 3 minutes, and I felt it's like this could be like a better balance, you know. So it's that I don't think that I could actually put up with 12 episodes of each one of them like 20 minutes.
I do have to say that I found the chapter breakup a little bit obnoxious, and every time they're like chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 11, I was like, just fucking tell me the story, man. Like, it's not important that it's broken up into chapters.
I was torn about that because a part of me was thinking like, at least I know how much of the movie is left without checking my watch.
That's what I thought until it went to like chapter 10, chapter 11, chapter 12, and I was like, fuck is this gonna be over? Not that I wanted it to be over, but when you like insert those chapters, you're like, okay, like you're breaking up things.
Yeah, but they actually say at the beginning that it's 12 chapters and a prologue and an epilogue. So you know from the beginning it's 12 chapters. It does.
Completely missed that.
They said it. So I was like all the time like just thinking like why they're like some chapters like so fast, because at the beginning I was thinking okay, it has been like just 15 minutes for the first chapter and almost 15 for the second one. It's like if this goes on, this is going to be like just finishing at midnight.
I really wish I had caught that because I would have been way more satisfied.
Yeah. Do you think that this movie could have been better?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go with no too. But what I think that it could have been better is the trailer. Fuck that shit. Is that shit is garbage. Is that you could have got like just 30 seconds of the conversation between them, you know, and just leave it like that. But the only thing is that there is not anything that is too iconic about it. There is nothing that I could say is like this defines the movie. What would you go be like taking? Is that the random conversation that they have in the wedding? You know, about like, is this cheating? Is that no. This is cheating. I'm just looking at you peeing. It's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing you can like point out as something ultra remarkable about the film. I agree with you when it comes to that.
And actually, is that the trailer I saw it today again, and it just starts with the two guys like with the after the wedding, like just saying goodbye and says like, "You didn't cheat." It's like, no, we didn't cheat. And then he jumps into the worst person in the world. It just makes you think that she's a terrible human being, but she doesn't do anything bad at any point. I mean, she did that is like morally not okay, because I don't think that she was like cheating, but it's like you're putting it in some kind of technicalities that is not good, but it's not cheating. Still is not cheating.
I see what you say, and this goes into a completely different discussion about like if things were working in her relationship, would she had gone to that wedding and found a guy? I see what you say, but it gets into a little bit of like a study of the characters. Like, why is she feeling the need to go find a guy to flirt with all night? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem, you know, with that. It's like she can do that. It's absolutely fine. The character can be like more or less congruent. It's like that's what the character is, you know. So from that perspective, it's not a big issue. Is that don't use that in the trailer. And then I start thinking like, what should you use instead? And it's like, there is no way that I can think of that you can represent this movie in an objective way.
But I have to say, it's just in terms of film criticism, it's not okay to compare a trailer to what the film actually is.
That's completely fair. Is that we actually watched Lamb like not too long ago, and it had the same problem. Is that the trailer looked way better than what the movie actually was, but it presented a different movie.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, it's
I'm dying to watch the trailer again. The second we stop recording, I'm going to watch the trailer.
Watch it again. I mean, we're going to stop recording. You can just watch it, you know, while I'm still here. and you can just tell me your opinion. But before we score this, as this was your pick, I think that is my turn for actually just selecting like some movie for you to tell me if you remember what was it about. Okay. Okay. It's not going to be Thelma. Don't worry.
I remember nothing about that film.
I know you don't. But let's just go. As you actually mentioned, like new wave. Let's go with Le Samurai.
Fuck. Is this the film about the civil servant that builds the park for kids?
Le Samurai with Alain Delon.
The answer is no. I remember nothing about this film. Nothing.
Le Samurai, and it's like about a hitman. I don't remember too much about it. I watched it like already like twice. And it's like stylistically it's amazing, but it doesn't have like too much. It's like a neo-noir kind of thing.
Honest to God, I don't even remember watching this film.
I remember
the name, of course.
Yeah, it's from 1967, and let me just. I'm here. I will tell you what was the character. What is the episode? 64. So it has been like almost 100 episodes ago.
Okay, I'm reading the synopsis. It sounds. Oh yeah, I remember this film based on reading the synopsis. But no, the answer is no. I remember nothing about this.
Okay, that's fair. Should we score the worst person in the world?
Yes, I'm super torn about my score. Technically, this was my pick, so you have to score first.
My score is an 8.
Oh, okay. 8.5 for me.
Okay. I debated a lot into an 8 and an 8.5. Then at the end, when I thought that is like this is not as memorable as other films, I remember Happy Go Lucky a lot. I think about it like randomly from time to time, and I even like remember Hunger, sort of like Naked, as we actually discussed about it like a couple of weeks ago. Is like I remember some specific scenes. It's like why those stories that they are like so mundane, they stick with me, and this one I already know that it won't.
It's really interesting the number of times you've compared this film with anything by Mike Leigh, because I wouldn't have drawn that comparison, but because you mention it, I'm like, yeah, there are two directors interested in telling specific stories about a slice of life. And Mike Leigh, when you compare it like that, is infinitely better, and it pisses me off because I like Joachim Trier. I like him a lot, but yes, you can't compare him to Happy Go Lucky, Naked.
I'm not saying that he's a bad director. Honestly, it's that this has actually put me in a position that when I saw the trailer, it's like a movie by Joachim Trier. Like, who is that? And I went to check what he did. He did tell me, fuck this guy. It's like now I'm about like, okay, the next time that they say it's like, hey, a movie by Joachim Trier, I'm going to say like, let's give it a try. I can tell you that is like of the directors that you forced me to discover. I think that Michael Leigh is way better, but it's like way better in such an effortless way that is like here I see the effort, here I see the try to shove down our throat like some specific ideas and some specific concepts. With Mike Leigh is like no, it's so effortless that it's just ridiculous. It's like so British in that kind of aspect. It's like this happens, and it's not like not of a scandal. It's a bit more of a I'm not cheating here. There is no smoke and mirrors. It's like it's exactly what you see is what you get.
I can't wait to make you watch Vera Drake by Mike Leigh about illegal abortions in England in the 60s.
I'm not saying that he may have like some movies that is like, okay, you're trying to her.
No, incredible. I'm just saying, like, I want to expose you.
Okay.
He has to offer.
I would be fine watching more like by Mike Leigh, because I think that this movie have made me appreciate more like this genre of a slice of life. You're here for just 2 hours, not about like just growing as a character, it's just growing as a person or anything. you're not trying to be Lars von Trier. You're not trying to save cinema. You're not trying to just make me depressed as Haneke. You're not trying to just make me slap the TV as Gaspar Noé. You're not trying to just make me feel like cinema should die like Spielberg. Is that you are just here for telling me a story about human beings.
This entire conversation is making me want to have us watch movies by Gus Van Sant, because I feel like he treads that line between like slice of life versus like I'm fucking in your face. This is a movie.
Wasn't he? He's the director of Elephant. No.
He did Elephant, yes, but he did a lot of really good movies. He did one that was based on the life of, well, very loosely, but Kurt Cobain. Elephant was shooting, and of course he did
Milk.
The Milk, but he did the one that won Alec. Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. God, Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. I'm always a bit torn with him. Didn't he do like the remake of Psycho?
He did. Yes, I never saw it. But apparently it was like a frame-for-frame remake.
Yeah, it's like this. No, there is no merit on doing this. It's like it's one thing that trying to be respectful, but if you're going to be like frame by frame, don't do it.
What's the point? It's like, who are you, Michael Haneke in Funny Games?
But I mean, at least at that point, you're remaking your own shit. It's fine if you want to remake your own shit. You know,
he was remaking someone else's film.
And he is like, hey, you know, like this super popular film, I'm going to remake it under my own breeze, and the only thing that I change is like just making it in color. Deal with it. But no, this was an interesting exercise. I think that it was like a really good pick. Maybe if you would ask me like in 6 months if I remember it, probably the answer is going to be no. And when I remember it, I'm going to say, like, did I give a hate to that?
And that's fair. I'm not going to remember this film in 6 months either. That doesn't mean I don't feel like it deserves an 8.5 because I think this is a good movie.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. Honestly, it's a good movie, and I wish that there were like so many more movies than this. You know, like this. That is like you go to the cinema and you have like a good story. That is like it was good. It was a slice of life. There was no intention of anything else. It was not trying. I didn't need to have like any kind of insight about like how life in Norway is. They made like some jokes about it, but it's like that's as much as far as they actually get. It's just growing up and just seeing that you don't get to an age and everything is like just figured out for you. That is that everything's going to be as dirty as it actually looks.
Did it not blow you away that you can work in a bookstore and have a nice apartment in Norway? I was like, should I move to Norway?
No, because they actually have the good apartment because of the boyfriend, that he has like a lot of money because of the comics, you know. And he actually asked us like, where are you going to live? You don't make a dime from your bookstore.
But I did find it interesting that like money never played a factor into this. It was just like, it didn't have to do with like the socio-economic background of people. It was just like, I found it interesting that it wasn't a factor.
No, it's true. It was not a big factor, but at the same time, is that they talk when they go to see her father. I think that they talk about like the car. It's like, well, it's so hard to park, and it's like, no, I heard that it's fine. You only have to pay for it, and then we see them like just going back on the bus home. That is like they actually made an effort for going there. They don't have a car. They're not like the upper class as the father is. So they never like really like highlight that. There is a bit more of a in between lines, you know, like commentary, but I don't think that is that important. I think that is like the comments that is important is about like this is life, deal with it, grow up.
I agree.
Yeah. Come on, anything else to say about these?
Nothing about the worst person in the world. I think that's about it.
Okay, but maybe I should say what we're going to be watching next.
You should. I can't wait to hear what you picked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm recording it. The what?
Is it L?
It's always L. It's always L. You should actually just watch L every single time, just in case. You know, just in case if it actually comes back. I'm going to be like throwing you a curveball. Okay, man?
All right, I'm ready.
I know that I chose a movie. After a conversation, I want to see something that it feels a bit more like a slice of life, but in a different kind of way.
Okay.
And I talked with a friend about this movie recently, and we didn't agree if this was good or not.
You're cheating on me with
I'm
somebody else?
cheating. Well, no, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's like, I know other people that they also watch movies, that they also have eyes, and they just dedicate it to a movie, you know, for 2 hours. I'm sorry, man, you are not unique. It's not, you're special, but you're not unique. So I'm going to go with something different, and I'm sorry about that, because I promised you that I was going to be like going with this, but I think that is a bit more related. I was expecting a rom-com from this, so I'm going to go with a rom-com, and I'm going to go with the Silver Lining Playbooks.
I'm actually thrilled because I've wanted to watch this film for a long time. There's something stopping me, but now you have fixed that.
Is it?
And you know how much I love Jennifer Lawrence and
Bradley Cooper.
And
Darren Aronofsky is not involved with this getting away.
Jennifer Lawrence dated him, so
I think that this was before the biggest mistake that she ever did on her career.
you be careful because my next pick will be Mother! Exclamation point.
I don't know if I will hate you more if you make me watch Elle for a third time, or just make me watch Mother for a second time.
For our listeners, you should know that although Jose and I have been friends for 10 years, we've seen maybe 4 or 5 films together in the theater at the same time. One of those times was the opening night of Mother.
And it almost destroyed our friendship. I remember like just like
Let's be honest. Worse than Let's Be Honest.
is that the movie being over, and I just remember like just like the camera, like, you know, like the light coming up and just staring at you, like just like, oh,
Yeah.
you fucker. Oh, you fucker. Fuck you, fuck Aronofsky, fuck everything. I'm sorry, but it's like, he's not a good director.
All right. Well, I'm super excited to watch Silver Lining Playbooks. I've never seen it. It's gonna be
And
good.
yeah, I'm super curious to see a movie that the trailer doesn't lie about. That's refreshing by nowadays standards. And to all those 6 people that they are listening to us, anything to tell to them?
Wash your hands, I guess. I don't know. Who knows with this pandemic? Whatever.
Yeah, you know, it's like maybe next week, maybe when you're listening this podcast, maybe there is another variant, and maybe you have to wash like your eyes. Who knows?
Don't touch your face.
That's always a good advice. Bye.